Hello there, Internet. Are you working now? Oh, yes. It works. Yes. Mute that. All right. I'm trying the chat in OBS, but I also have it open here. I have not been on here in a while. And I recently got a message from Mr. YouTube saying if I didn't do something soon, that they were going to pull my whatever status thingy-majiggy that allows me to monetize stuff, which I don't even do, and I was half tempted to ignore and just let it fly. But I decided to stream something. I'm going to work a little bit on some these are basically pencils for a page of the box. The art you just saw is something else from the box. It's one of the stories I'm working on that one day might go into a book that I was going to call Mind Engine. I think I'm still calling it Mind Engine. The tentativeness is that, to catch you up, life's been busy. And I kind of reached a point around January this year where I was not feeling it. I was not being motivated to do a whole bunch of the things that go along with being a professional comic book artist these days, which, to be strictly adherent to the terms, I guess I was sort of only somewhat still, because I haven't been seeking to make my primary income from comics in quite some time. It's a medium that I care too much about as an author and creator to compromise for. And so that kind of rules out a lot of commercial comics, unless you have some sort of mega footprint and reputation in the business. I mostly I've done stuff with grant funding, and I did stuff with crowdfunding. I can't say that crowdfunding went that great for me. It was good for me for some things, and I appreciated the support I got, and I did get some, pretty decent actually. But I found I ran into a lot of trouble with the Dracula one, with unforeseen stuff, and I made the mistake of trying to fund the making of the project, the work, the labor, rather than, I think what's best to do if you're going to crowdfund is just back it as a printing pre-order type campaigns. Those, I think, are much safer and more reliable. If I were to do one again, that's probably how I'd go about it. And I've been working on comics for myself, but I don't want to just like put them up online for free. I was putting them up via Patreon as I work on stuff, and then I was thinking about moving that to Mind Engine, but ultimately I was found that the process of thinking about promoting and maintaining a presence and doing stuff like this was consuming all of my mental resources, and I was losing interest in the actual making, the art, the thing that I got into this for. So I need to take a break. And I talked about this with a friends only post on Facebook and a little bit later on. And I've also posted as part of the Comics Broke Me stuff, because I definitely have Comics Broke Me stories. I'm pretty sure I've talked about that here before. But anyway, yeah, I was getting to the point where a familiar place. I've been here before in my career as a professional artist, where a particular thing. It's always been comics, because that's been kind of my personal art form, my personal form of expression. Comics became hard to do for a while because I was trying to figure out what I was doing with them, and I needed to find the energy and motivation. And if too many other things are sapping that, or otherwise your mental affect is being undermined, and your ability to focus and just do the work and be happy with doing the work. I don't mean like, joyful, find your bliss kind of bullshit. Although definitely I used to get into the zone a lot more, and I miss that. For health reasons, I can't spend the time it takes to get into the zone as much as I used to. But yeah, I had to find a sweet spot for where I could do it as art for myself, while still basically being a professional artist working in other fields. So like right now, animation, which is day jobs go, is good. It's been good. I'm not particularly keen on the kids shows that I'm working on these days. They're not my bag. They're not for me. They're for little kids. But I don't take my pleasure from the form of the show. Ultimately, the thing that people watch, that's being done for a different audience than me. I'm doing it as a skill set, as the pleasure of just rendering and drawing. I was getting into, when I first got back into animation, I was brought in as a supervisor, and I ended up supervising multiple departments on F's for Family as well as I could for what, basically a first-time animation supervisor. I think I did a decent job. However, a lot of the issues I ran into came down to managing 3 departments. Only 2 of which I had direct experience working in. And the biggest negative for me in that experience was the degree to which it interfered with time drawing. And in subsequent jobs, I've been a props department supervisor because I'm drawing props. But that's it. I'm not juggling multiple hats. And it's been a while since I've actually really had a crew. I'll see with this current show. I think we're moving into full production now from pre-production, and I think there's a good chance we're going to need at least one other person to keep up now that we're getting into post-board. Because there's still new shows coming, and the new shows and post-board combined, plus a particular client, means it's getting the work stack is getting a bit deep. I'm still managing to hack through it through the course of the week, but I think we're at our capacity. So but this is a thing. As long as the amount of work coming my way isn't unreasonable, I prefer working alone. It's simpler for me to focus and direct stuff, and it's simpler for me to spend the most time I can, usually through the afternoon, just drawing. Often I get up in the morning, a lot of it's spent getting oriented, figuring out what's going on. A couple days a week there's meetings, but there's not too much of that. But I also just need the time where my brain's wired to sit down and figure out what I'm doing for the day. And I can sort of help with that by planning the night before, but a lot of times I'm just kind of done for the day at the night before, so I don't get around to it. So I do a lot of it in the morning with my coffee and feeding the cats, and I need to move around a little bit anyway, get a little bit of exercise. So I walk around the house, and I sometimes even take a walk around the block, and mentally go through everything I can remember, and look at my phone and messages and stuff, and make a list of everything that I remembered and what didn't remember, hopefully. Ask some questions, try to get people before they get too busy. And then I get down to work, and I can draw a lot pretty fast once I get going, so that works out. It's not for me, though. It's not personally rewarding, and it was busy enough last year that I was feeling just drained and a little burnt out. But the real culprit was that when I wasn't doing that stuff, the little bit of time I had left over, too much of it was being gobbled up about simple things like setting this up, getting a stream up and running. And by the time I would get everything ready, I lost the urge to do the thing I actually wanted to do, the drawing. So I kind of resolved to retire from it. That's right. I want to sort of retire, not from making comics, from feeling obliged to maintain a presence so that when I'm done making a comic, there's an audience to consume it. And this has become like the existential dilemma for almost everyone involved in creating content everywhere. And not something I frankly totally anticipated at all when I was an early adopter getting online in the mid-90s. That's right, I'm old. I go back to the beginning. I need to look at pages. What's his nose look like again? Oh yeah, it's that sort of thing. Got it. That'll work. It's so small. I have to figure out what his fencing suit looks like, so I'm just gonna sketch him. That's right. He's part goat. He's a goat. A soldier. I want it to be like something like fencing, but I don't know if it's going to be swords per se. So we'll just stick with the gestural. The thing about the box, so this is a project that started life as an adaptation of the Tinderbox. And it's not bad, but we'll make them a little, there we go, and a little smaller. It's good for the gesture, but he got a little stretched out there. I think move his hips a little higher. Yeah, that's better. One of the things I like about this project is its semi-stream of consciousness. So there is a script. It's the project originally. I started out taking a copy of the original fairy tale, the box, and going through and editing out anything in the text that was particularly specific. So I changed any names that there were to sort of honorific titles, and I tried to make those honorifics a little vague even. So there was kind of an open canvas about what was what. Make this sparring partner. That sketch I did. Go to photos. I have it stuck in my items folder. Monsters. Did I? Or maybe it's not on the online folder, but in the box. There he is. Yeah. This guy's trippy shit. I like him. So for the last 6+ months, I haven't been doing a lot of drawing. It's just been the last month or so that I'm getting back into it. And I'm doing a lot more of it. I think I'm going to be doing most of it for the next few months on stories that I'm drawing on paper. I am doing, like I am right here, some digital sketchy penciling, because I have found that that is a good modality for this stage of the work. Because I can do a lot of this sort of thing, where it's really easy to take something I rendered, instead of erasing and redoing, I can just, a little twitch there, I can just do some morphing of stuff Might not use swords, I was saying before. But I might. Yeah, I was saying that a lot of this stuff is sort of stream of consciousness, improvisational as I'm drawing it. So I have this adapted script based on the Tinderbox, but I've altered it, and then I started going in and making changes after I took out all of the key sort of titles and references that grounded it in a human world or a so remember what I planned to do, and I think I did use it in class. I don't think any of the other students took me up on using it as an example, or using it directly, but it was presented as an example of what they could do. So I'd taken the script, it stripped out any he or she's, and most of the titles were turned into sort of made up honorifics that were vague. And then I started going from there and drawing things, and then based on what I was drawing, making further alterations. Like in the Tinderbox, there's these dogs, and the dogs, plural. I think I will have something like giant dogs, just because I like dogs, and that idea keeps coming back up as a thing to do elsewhere. But in the story, turned into an automaton, this sort of animate sculpture creature, steed, beast thingy that the main character finds in a very similar way to the original story, but I've made alterations there. The old lady, sort of witch character, has turned into a strange insect creature, sage, they're referred to as in the script, but also just biologically something else, not even vaguely mammal. And the kind of weird, creepy obsession with a child princess has evolved into something more cosmic horror like. And the idea was to like look at using public domains not as a source material, like for example the way Fables did, but as a springboard to react against. Take everything that you found kind of interesting about those stories, or compelling, or even problematic, and look at ways to work with that, alter it, tweak it, twist it, reflect it, make it a commentary on the concept that it was taking for granted. I don't know. Like, there are so many ways to go. Any one or multiples of those things. And then I would set students off to like go try that as an exercise. And it was partially to help, because what I saw a lot when I first started teaching is that many young writers, and this was a familiar experience I'd had myself, have the blank sheet problem. They just don't know what to do at the beginning, and they don't have a clear idea and a pathway to get started. So I tried to manufacture a device that would help with that. A process. I never named it. I think there's probably enough things like that out there already too, that if I was going to use a name for it, there's most likely an existing one already. Yeah, still not sure about the swords thing. Will it be swords? It's going to be some sort of reach-extending bladed weapon, but the fun process in this particular project is asking myself every time, well, that's what you would normally use, but what are we going to do here? Let's close gap more. There we go. And then only in empty areas, but that will help make them pop out from the background. There we go. Same thing for you. Oops. Wrong button. Undo. I need a little more contour on you to make you easier to select. That's fine. Where did your sword go from? No, it's there. Okay. Tolerance. There we are. Don't need this. Close this. Select. Invert. Boom. Alright. I'm not gonna have you guys overlap properly. Only about that much though. And like so. Okay. Some sort of crowd scene going on in there. I drifted subject-wise because I have to focus on the drawing. That's why I'm really here. But I am streaming because I got this notice saying we'll take away your advertising rights. And you know, I don't even have a chance to look at all the things that might affect. So I said, all right, well, I'll go in and do something in the next week. And so here I am doing it. It's my day off. Few days ago, over the last week, actually. Yeah, over the last few weeks. Get my time frames right. I did a bit of work that you may not have seen at all in this project. Let me see, where's my OBS? I believe. Yeah, there you go. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Can we... What camera are we using? That's definitely zoomed in a lot more than it normally is. I think I zoomed it in to show some stuff. Advanced zoom, yeah. There we go. Wow. So, page 11, and I'm not sure, comes much later in the story. Spoilers! That's okay. I mean, if you don't want to see it, avert your eyes. This was the one that I paused at and then came back to after a significant pause. Okay, here we go. Pull down. Here's our pencils. Actual pencils, but also, I believe, done over some really loose digital sketching. It's kind of what I'm doing now, but I'm actually doing some of the stuff you see here in color this time because I feel like it digitally. But I might still, like, you can see how at least I'm keeping these guys. I'm not going to do everything necessarily tight. I'm just taking the thumbnail rough here, which I did in a note program on my tablet. I've got bits of the notes of the plot script here on the side on my left margin. Right? Just so you can see, by the way, this is all turned blue, but it's actually that I just blued and lightened so I can work over it. And then I'm adding elements and refining elements. I gotta still figure out what to do with this second last panel. I have some different ideas. For the second panel, I did one row of dancers, but then I came in here and mirrored them and added some more figures. I've got to return to that because I've got some ideas about how I want that to work. Doing different ideas about symmetry and stuff. There's a theater scene here. It's going to be fun. So a classic theater environment, but I get to be surreal and weird about it. And this is the fencing scene before his victory. But he's still obsessed by that tower. Which is... yeah, that's enough. I don't want to spoil all everything. So I'm gonna go back to work for a bit and let this stream for a while. And I'll look up every once in a while, see if anyone's in chat, but it is pretty dead because I haven't done this in a while, and that's how the internet works, right? But I can't be bothered to worry about that too much. How long have I been going now? 28 minutes. In fact, you know what? I think I've done my bit. So that's what's going on. I think I'm going to keep drawing. You saw me do a little bit of work. I'm going to keep doing this work, but without the distraction of thinking about what's going on up here with the computer and the casting. I'll probably drop in periodically to keep this channel active so that I don't lose my privileges for the time that comes when I have either a clearer idea and opinion about what I'm going to do with this space, or I have a new book to promote or something along those lines. You could check out all my stuff online, but if you're really interested, the best thing you could do is go to my Gumroad, look for the link in the doobly-doo, and buy my books. If people were buying my books, I wouldn't have to have a day job if enough people were buying my books. And I could just get this stuff done all the time again, which would be my happy place. It would be a much happier, even healthier place for me to be. In the meantime, because it is not my primary income, my personal comics has to take third seat to the day job and my general life and well-being and health, which is what I end up having to spend a lot of my time paying attention to when I'm not just working on props for animation right now, because I'm a human with finite time and I can no longer burn the candle at both ends like I used to as a child. That is a game for the young, and I am 53. That's right, folks. I'm olds. But you kids keep having fun. I get messages every once in a while, people leaving comments on my videos, my older videos, about how helpful some of the instructions have been, especially the grip videos. I should probably do stuff like that again, just periodical short videos of tips and things. And I thought about it. I definitely have lots of ideas about things I could do. I just haven't had the time to organize and do it. And it would probably be very improv. I don't have the space in my life to get into high production values, and I basically that's the thing I'm retiring from, is attempting to be anything more than a dilettante when it comes to all the multimedia, social media, internet stuff. I have a lot of skills and potential expertise to bring to the table, but I do not have the time or energy, and it is not the primary thing I want to do. So that's the plan. That's why you've not seen me around here for a while. If you followed my Substack, that's why I haven't posted there in months. I'm posting gonna just post important updates, so event announcements when I'm gonna be at a show, which I do at 3 or 4 times locally a year, or if there's big news about a new book. And I'm always tempted to just like vent about things going on in the world, like right now. Being an anti-Zionist Jew, I have some opinions. But I don't have the time to do multimedia bullshit about this. I haven't even used TikTok in months. I just occasionally vent on Facebook. But I guess if that's what you're looking for, you can go find me there. I am on all those other platforms. And until next time here, fare thee well, folks.